How powerful is the phrase, I love you?
I love you.
Hi, this is Neil with Other People's Shoes. I want to call your attention to a new app that I've discovered called World LOVEbank. Now, let me tell you something really quick. There's something powerful about the phrase, I love you. It can do wonders to our mental health. It can just make us feel like we matter and that we value that person that we say it to. Now, think about this for a second. Think about the person you love most in this world. Got him? Now, imagine just for a brief moment. Imagine if you could never hear the words, I love you, ever again. That's what World LOVEbank is all about. See, what they're doing is they're capturing the I love yous from loved ones that you can go back in and go into that bank like a savings account and withdraw that I love you, even if that loved one is passed. Because maybe that loved one has banked their I love you and it'll be there forever. So think about that. Check it out right now, World LOVEbank, on your favorite app store of choice, whether that be Apple iOS or Android Google Play. Check it out now, World LOVEbank.
I love you.
Hey, come take a walk with me, not like you used to do. Do something different and put yourself in other people's shoes. Open up your mind and open up your eyes and change your direction, change your perspective.
Welcome into Other People's Shoes. As you know, I am your host, Neil Matthews. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really excited that you've stopped by today. Hope you brought your passport because we are over the border. That is right. We are in Canada today. Oh, Canada. It is not my home and native land, but it is sort of kind of her home and native land, at least at the moment. Help me welcome in my guest, though. She is energized, she is committed, and she's passionate about leading wellness conversations around life balance, mental wellness, self-care, self-realization, and whole life wellness. Her joy is seeing individuals build healthy communication and wellness methods into their life that reduce stress, reconnect relationships, and bring harmonious balance to their lives. She excels at providing people from all walks of life, with practical communication, advice, and strategies that meet today's struggles with disconnection. She's a professional speaker. In fact, this is an app I'm excited about and you need to get equally excited about. In fact, go to your app store right now. Okay, maybe not right now, but after this, and download this amazing free app. She's the founder of World LOVEbank. You've heard us been talking about it all month long and on World LOVEbank. Go check it out now at your favorite app store, which is a new health and wellness app designed to help build and secure emotional health. Help me welcome in my guest, Hibby Bartlett. Hibby, how are you today?
Hello, Neil. I am fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Welcome in, though. We love having you. We love the fact we got to connect today. So thank you for giving us some moments today. Appreciate that.
No, absolutely my pleasure. I'm so looking forward to this conversation.
Here's what I like to lead off with. I always like to ask this question because I think if we're going to be in your shoes today, other people's shoes, we're going to be in those shoes today, we got to know what style and brand of shoes we're wearing. So can you help us with that?
Actually, my shoes today and what I absolutely love are like those UGG type slippers, the ones you just slip in. That's what my shoes are. If I could walk around every day with those slippers, it's like my feet are in bed all the time. I absolutely love them. I don't wear heels all the time like I used to. This is me. These are my slippers. And they're shoes for me.
That's fantastic. I love to wear a nice pair of Michael Jordan shoes. I'm a big University of North Carolina fan. If you couldn't tell, it's a little weird because I'm in Oregon, but I love the University of North Carolina. And so a lot of my shoes are light blue. A lot of my shoes are like a sky kind of color. Very calming, I've heard, is a very calming color as well. Then I get involved and then it doesn't get very calm. It's like, hyperactive.
No, that's amazing. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, could I wear these shoes all the time? 100%. But don't you find that sometimes we wear other people's shoes as well? I have a few other shoes that I like to wear as well. And not as comfortable as these, but they're, they still slip on quite well.
Yeah. I don't know if you can kind of see it in the back here, but there's a pair of Vans on the wall that I used to wear every Wednesday when the show would come out. And I bought them specifically used on eBay because I truly wanted other people's shoes. But getting into you, we are in this season, which I'm really excited about. 3 a.m., one of those 3 a.m. wake-up call moments for me. And then it kind of came into fruition more when I was putting on my shoes for work. This Aglid Now to help, some are like, I don't know what an aglet is. I think I know what an aglet is. Thanks to Phineas and Ferb, they really helped us, which is a Disney Channel program. They discovered or helped me discover what an aglet is. And that's the plastic thing or metal thing at the end of our shoelace, which if we didn't have that plastic thing or metal thing at the end of our shoelace would actually be unraveled. And so I'm wondering about this for you. What is that aglet for you? What is that one thing for you that kind of keeps you from unraveling in life?
My connection to the universe, my God, if you want to call him God, or it's me knowing that there's something bigger out there and that I'm always connected. It's like that shoelace, like you said, the end. It's like every day I get on my knees and I pray. And this is just me. This is me saying, you know what, how can I be of service? And I know that in my times of struggle, I don't ever feel 100% alone. Like I may feel lonely, but I never feel alone. So my shoelaces are always tied.
Well, and I think that's the key, is that so many times when I've been asking people this question this season specifically, is a lot of people are saying, well, it's a God, it's a deity, it's the universe, it's this thing in the sky, it's this overwhelming presence that has been in my life that I know if I didn't have, I would truly lose my direction, my true north, some have even said. I think underlining, there's almost like a subcategory. There's the point, and then there's the kind of plastic that wraps around it. So I'm wondering, is there like maybe a subcategory? Because for me, I know if I didn't have love in my life, the love of my life, which is my wife, my child, my life would look very dark, very dim. And I think talking about light, not a lot of light would come into my life. How about for you? Is there anything like that?
My husband is like my best friend, and we speak all the time, and we say, I love you every single day. My children say, I love you every single day. That is just who we are. They are definitely my glue, as you say, to keep it together. Yes, there's a connection, but for me, it has always been that God. That I'm South African, so my father was Arabic and English. My mother was German, Malaysian, Asian, and African. So we have quite a mix. But my father was Muslim. They both passed, actually. My mother, Christian. My father said that, he believed in Jesus Christ, but he also believed in the whole of the Bible and everything. And they just said, follow the 10 Commandments, you're going to be okay. When you get older, you decide what religion you're going to follow, but there is only one God, and God is within all of us. I do believe that when I get that opportunity to my glue is me realizing that I'm not alone, that I'm equal, and I can see people, like I can see the gods in them, and that is the glue. That is the glue. So yes, I have a very good connection with my husband and a very good connection with my kids, but I never take it for granted that I still have connections with like you and other people, because we are all the same.
But imagine just for a second, you mentioned the word I love you. But I remember in middle school and even in elementary school and even a little bit into high school, man, that word I love you, man, I could say it, I could quote it. Going out with a girl, it was like, I love you. Never was really the true I love you until my wife came along. Now, she'll dispute that till the day she dies, probably. I think the phrase, if it's not too crass to say, some have even said that's an I love you whore. They just pass it out like it's candy at Halloween. They just give it out so freely. And I know that's a terrible metaphor to go with. Have you ever experienced that in your life where people were saying I love you to you, but it was never truly genuine? And if so, what was that like for you?
Moments in my life where I felt the words were more empty, as we would say, like they're, as you said, candy, or you're giving it out. And that's like the situation I had with my brother. He was going through a tough time. I hadn't talked to him in a while. He had an addiction and he was suffering from mental illness. He called my mom's house and I had said the words, I love you. He said, no, you don't. And then I said them again. I'm like, I love you. He's like, no, you don't. And I just gave it out like candy. I just kept saying, I love you. I love you. I love you. And that's interesting what you said. I wouldn't give up saying I love you until it wore me down and it wore him down. But the difference was I finally got over the outer coating of the word. And I was just so exhausted that I just had to say it just so that he would actually hear it. I just said like, I love you. And I think that was the moment where it hit him. And it was the authentic voice, because I wasn't going to give up. I had to like dig deep inside me as well. And then he heard the words. He connected to those words and he said, I love you back. And his words were clearly, he didn't have to say it 100 times or 15 times. He just said it. It was like, boom, I felt it. That was that moment where I was like, okay, we can hear it from so many different people. When you know it's true, you know it's true. I said it to him. He said it back to me. 3 months later, he ended up dying. He left behind a 3-year-old son who would never hear those words. It was so impactful because not only did he give me that gift, I'll never be able to hear those words again. His words, I know his son will never hear them, but I also know because of the way that it had happened. I know I said it to him, and I know he heard it and received it. There's a power in that. And I guess we learn how to say the words with more meaning. And I guess with what you do, allowing us to see people's lives and listen to people's lives from other people's shoes, that also gives us the opportunity to understand. If you could just say, I love you without the conditions, like unconditionally, I think that becomes way more authentic.
When you hear that word, I love you, what brought more joy into your heart? Was it your husband when you first heard it from him, or maybe from your kids?
I don't know. I would say they're just not comparable. Like my son says, I love you all the time because he knows of the World LOVEbank. And he's like, I love you, Mom. I love you. And yes, they are a bit vacant. When he sits down, he goes, thank you. And he's like, you are the most amazing woman in the world. Remember, he said that because I took the time to help him make paper bag puppets. Instead of going out with my friends were like, oh, let's go for coffee, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? My son needs me to make these puppets. And he knew that somehow. He was kind of listening. And so we spent the day making these puppets. And he's like, you are the most amazing woman in the world. That was the I love you. And that's different than my husband's I love you. My husband's, his love, like every day I hear I love you. His love also is when we sit on the couch and I just get into his arm and I'm half asleep watching, a show or something. And it's the safety of I love you. He's Australian, so I get the cool accent. They're just not comparable. The I love you from my husband is like true companionship. Like we're equal. The I love you from my child is a great big thank you. They will always feel protected. I've got them. And for that, they can put their head on their pillow every night and feel safe. That's the I love you. But I love you it's like it's a big umbrella. It's like a big balloon that we stuff things in and we can, you got to be able to read it.
I just can't even imagine that there are people on this planet that have truly never, one, heard I love you and truly been loved. Am I crazy to think that there are people out there like that?
No, 100%. My husband is not the father of my children. I remember before we had met, I was just like, I just want someone who loves me, who adores me. I was saying that again to my God, to my universe, because I just felt like there was nothing out there. I don't think I'd ever felt the love that I have with him in other relationships. I felt that they had loved me, but not that depth, at the depth of what my husband has. And so do I think other people have had that or experienced that lack of love? And never hearing those words, 100%. And that's why, people need to hear those words. I built a bank because I believe people deserve to hear those words. To get into the LOVEbank, it's an app that's called the World LOVEbank. You have to say those unconditional words, I love you. And people are going to say it into the app. You'll be able to listen to the compilations of I love you. It's like my brother. You'll never know which voice they're going to hear that's going to be like, oh, I hear that voice. That voice sounds like my mom. That voice sounds like my brother. That voice was authentic, and you'll hear it and you'll feel love. And it won't come because that person is your teacher, friend, husband. It'll just be that person gave love and you were able to receive it. And that's what I'm hoping. So people don't always get an opportunity to hear the words, I love you. If they could, I think that they should.
First off, I think, and I said this kind of in our green room, I thought that was just such a fascinating idea. Two, I'm a little bugged that I didn't think about it first. But there's this movie that every time I watch it, I have to fast forward through this scene. And I'm going to help set the stage here. So it's Toy Story 2. Jessie, the cowboy character, is reminiscing about what life was like for her before she met Woody and the Roundup Gang. And Sarah McLachlan, who I'm a big fan of, she wrote a song named Adia. We do not get my daughter's name from Sarah McLachlan, but there's a song that shares my daughter's name. So I'm kind of a fan of her because of that. But she has this song, When She Loved Me, and it's talking about this toy loved the little girl for a long time, and now the little girl has gone away. Some of the lyrics say this: so many years went by, I stayed the same, she began to drift away. I was left alone, I still waited for the day when she said, I will always love you. And I think what's so fascinating to me about your LOVEbank idea and what you're creating and what you're gathering this community of people around is there are so many people in my life that have gone. I would probably trade most anything to hear again. My grandmother is one of them. She died in 97. I have no record of her voice. I wasn't podcasting back then. I didn't think as a child, I'm going to record grandma on my little Fisher-Price recorder. I wish I had. Because you always think people are going to be around. You always think there's that person that's going to stay around forever. To quote this song, we don't realize that they're going to drift away, that we're going to be left alone. that we're still waiting for the day when we could hear her or him or whomever say, I will always love you.
I'm actually Googling the lyrics right now as we
should.
speak.
These are powerful lyrics. Like, I can't even believe we walked through this road together, but it's Sarah McLachlan. The name of the song is When She Loved Me. Go Google that, listener.
I know the song. Sarah McLachlan is from Vancouver, British Columbia, so shout out to her.
There you go. Shout out BC.
But also, I know the song, so I was, as you were saying it, I was trying to remember because it is one of my very favorite songs. It feels so. You just feel like as she sings it, because her voice is so amazing.
So
like
peaceful.
it's peaceful. The lyrics, it's like you're floating. Like I'm getting
like the arms
goosebumps.
of the angel. I mean, I know it's the dog abuse commercial. That's the lady who sings it to help those who are like still trying to figure out who Sarah McLachlan.
Absolutely.
But I set the table to say this. What would your life have been like if you never heard I love you from your dad? If you never heard I love you from your mom? What would life have been like?
I only heard I love you from my dad once. And that was just last year before he died. I made a point to say I love you. I never recorded it. It was one of those moments. My mom, I used to say I love you all the time. She was like this big bubble of love. She loved everybody. I could aspire to be anything like my mom would be amazing. So I heard it all the time from her. It was always the same. The unconditional thing with I love you was almost like I love you, but you should also go and love the world. My mom was like, we are all the same. We all have red blood. Like I was never, ever going to be better than anyone else. And that was going to be 100% okay with me. But we can all be great. Like just because, we're all up here, some of us just get more comfortable down here. But I don't know what it would be like to hear the words I love you. Having said that, both my mom and my dad died. My dad died October 2019 of lung and brain cancer. So before he died, we were doing a lot of running around. And I said it to him and he said it back to me. And it was weird, but it was also peaceful to know that I heard them finally. He was the person in our life he loved my mom so much. And we were the kids, we were the offspring, but he worked so hard to provide us with a home, went through his own struggles in life coming from Africa. My mom was the I love you person. She was the one she was the gatherer who fed and loved the kids and made sure we were safe. And she died August 2020 on my birthday. And I knew I said I love you to her. And it was one of those things, again, where do you gain strength from? And she gave me so much strength. We used to have a joke. Am I born on August 3rd or August 4th? And it was a joke because in Africa, she said I was born August 3rd, but she said the nurses were so busy that they wrote down August 4th, that they didn't have time. And she goes, but I'm sure you're born on August 3rd. When she passed, they basically had marked her down for August 4th, which is my birthday. They said, well, she went to bed on August 3rd. She didn't wake up on August 4th. Like I said, even at the end, Mom, you had to keep the joke alive. It's how I frame life. If I'm going to love my mom and know that she would never have left me unless she knew I was going to be okay. And I think they always know. They always know we're going to be okay, whatever happens, then that's okay. And I said, if the heaven's gates open for my mom, then today's a good day. I was about to cry when you talked about your grandma and the voice of her, because that's how my son, my nephews, my niece feel about my mom. And that's how I feel about her. I recorded things about her stories because I knew I was building the love bank. Life is temporary and we have to be okay with sharing those things. And we have to know that it's okay to save those things and to record those things. There'll come a day when that person isn't there anymore and you would do anything to hear their voice one more time. That's the love bank. You can pre-record messages into the future. You could because I could walk out the door honestly, we have a war going on right now and we had COVID and we still have, not we, as in we've actually had COVID, but COVID, the pandemic is here. People are dying. And so you could go out, get hit by a car. As the woman who we started this conversation with, ALS, it happened to a good friend of mine. His mother died of ALS and she lost her voice. And so he's like, I wish I could just hear her voice one more time. And he had it on a voicemail and then the voicemail was gone. So with the World Love Bank, you get that opportunity. You have to be intentional. You have to save those messages, whether someone is with you or not, or whether they need to hear your voice at 3:00 in the morning. You just want to make sure that it's there. It's your security. It's your most valuable asset to have love banked. That's my thing. It's valuable. So valuable.
I think you're absolutely correct. And I think, first off, I think that's what's so beautiful about your app, your idea, is this whole idea that life is truly temporary and it is gone in a blink of an eye. I grew up in a church. I grew up in an older church. So for the last, I'll say 20 years or so, I've gone back to said church that I grew up in and I've said goodbye in the earthly sense to a lot of these people that were surrogate grandparents to me. Grandfathers, the uncles, the grandmothers were that stopgap.
Help grow you
Yeah,
up.
they helped groom me up in a lot of respects. I get emotional when I think about those people because I think, why God, universe, deity? Again, I'm going to let anybody put in whatever they want. For me, it is God. It is Jesus Christ. He is my Lord and Savior. Why didn't God put the idea in my wife's heart earlier for me to start podcasting so I could do exactly what you're talking about? Go and interview these people, have their voice. Very near and dear friend of mine that just passed. He had cancer for 15 years. Cancer finally took him. I was talking to his son, Jim, one day. I said, you know what I'm going to miss most about your dad is I said, we would text during Seahawk games and we would, mean about the game, like if we were mad about a play or whatever. And he said, none of us boys like Seattle. And I was like, what? I don't understand. He goes, oh, none of us text my dad about that. We actually don't like football. We don't watch football. And I'm like, wait a second. So that was mine and your dad's thing? Like, I didn't know that.
Only?
And he said, yeah, he said, I think you're one of the only people that would text my dad regularly about Seattle. But to your point, we need to save these moments because if we don't, we could end up bankrupt and not have any of that loved one anymore. So my question for you, everybody has that bankrupt moment maybe. What was that moment like for you when you realized that, you know what, you have to do something about this so others aren't bankrupt like you were maybe in this moment?
I was actually bankrupt. I was actually financially bankrupt, emotionally and spiritually bankrupt. It was around Christmas time, been going through a nasty divorce and I just was jobless. And the spiritual part was the hardest. It was just like, why am I here? What is going on? I had these two beautiful children. I had my partner with me, my husband now. It felt like there was something more that needed to be connected with me. And I was just like, what is going on? And I remember trying to really connect with this idea that I was financially bankrupt. And I was like, oh my God. I realized I could change that. It was this moment where it's like, I have so much love for this world. Like that is really, people talk about, what is your greatest asset or, how would you define yourself? Like I honestly love people. I want to stop on the street sometimes. I just want to hug people. Like that's just this thing I have. And I don't really care to judge people. I mean, I can sit there and go, well, try to figure out people's situations, but it's just like, bottom line, everyone was born equal. I love this world so much and it's just not valuable. It was my breaking point. It was like, love is so valuable. I have it and yet I'm bankrupt. And it just was like this thing that just did not make sense to me at all. And so I had to turn it over. I had to surrender it. I'm going to build a bank. And no one thought we were going to be bottling water, right? And I was just like, you know what? I have so much love. It's valuable. Like all of a sudden it was like, click. It is valuable. I'm going to start banking it. But you know what? That thing about me loving people, it's like, but my love is not any more valuable than your love and your love. Everyone desires love. Everyone inside, there's a part of us that it was always there, that it was always love. And so I was like, I can't do this alone. So I'm going to build a bank and I'm going to welcome everybody in it. And no one will ever be bankrupt again. And that's going to be the World Love Bank. So it's going to include everybody in the world. So anyone anywhere can hear the words, I love you. Anyone could receive it. Because I remembered what happened with my brother. And I remember that at that point, I had like a nephew who was, never going to hear his dad say, I love you. I heard it, but how would it have felt if I could hear it one more time? Like, just because when you hear someone's voice, it's just like they're right beside you. Moments, it's like they're real again, right? It's like they're on the other side of a phone call. That was the moment. And it was in 2012. So that was a long time ago. That was 10 years ago that I went and I registered the worldlovebank.com. I started trying to create it. Back then, as you were saying about the podcast, like, why didn't your wife tell you to start recording? Back then, it was very expensive. Like apps weren't really around then. It was like, how am I going to build a website and how am I going to make a website? People were charging $100,000 for a website and there was no way I was going to be able to do it. So I just kept thinking about it and working out different ways to create it. At first it was going to be a website and, because you couldn't make it like a physical bank, it had to be an online bank. I just kept working through different ideas of how to do it, but I never really got into the opportunity to build it until 2019 when I was struggling with my dad's cancer and with my mom. So it had always been there. That's the other power of love, is that you never, ever have to give up on it. It'll always be there underneath everything. So I did lots of other things and I was able to give love to the world, like we talked about with, like in the green room with like doing charity work and helping people in recovery and working in recovery myself. It's been such a gift.
I think the idea of saving and archiving, remembering, to me is so in my lane and right up my alley. I had a friend say to me recently, he said, Neil, do you go back and download your shows and hold them on another server or a backup file somewhere? And I said, no. He said, why not? Aren't you worried if, they get deleted or whatever, nobody's going to have your show? And I said, listen, as long as the internet's around, other people's shoes will be floating around there somewhere. I want to go to this banking term, which I think is fascinating. This banking term is FDIC. Now, we see that on a lot of banks. We see that in a lot of, financial institutions to help. It means Federal Deposit Insured Corporation. So in other words, when you put your stuff in there, when you make your bank physical cash deposit, they will FDIC that. In other words, they will ensure that it is secure and it is safe. What a better way to remember your loved one than to do this, to be a part of this. So guys, if you're interested, we'll give you information at the end of the show to do this. I want to get back to you just for a second. I want to think about this person right now. Now, I know you're probably not a big sports gal. You don't strike me as the hockey mom, but you are a soccer mom. So in some respects, there is that. There is this amazing stadium in Toronto, which I one day dream of going to. It's Sky Dome. That's what it was when I was a kid. The Blue Jays play there. Now, I don't know what the name of it is because it's probably changed like 70,000 times because of, corporate sponsorship and stuff like that. Have you ever been to Toronto? Have you ever seen the Sky Dome?
I have been to Toronto, but no, I have not been to the Sky Dome.
You have
continue.
Not been to Sky Dome? Man, all right. Well, that's okay. So Sky Dome was one of the first retractable roof baseball stadiums. So it's kind of cool. But in that, they have a estimated seating capacity of 53,506 people. First off, that's a lot of people. If I put you at home plate, which is the start of baseball, I don't know if you know baseball at all. Hopefully you do.
Yeah.
But if I put you at home plate there and we got 53,506 people and I hand you a microphone and I say, now listen, Hibby, most of these people have been hurt. They've been brokenhearted. They've given up on love. They've watched the Hallmark movies and they hate every single one of them because love seems fake to them. Mm-hmm. They've watched Lifetime movies and likewise, they're like, love sucks. I hate it. Nobody's ever really going to love me for me. One of my favorite other songs, J.J. Heller, Who Will Love Me for Me. But what would you tell them in that moment? We're not playing baseball. They're there to hear you. What do you tell them in that moment?
What I would tell them in that moment, if I were standing there with a microphone looking, and I do know baseball because my boys did play baseball too at one point, Little League. I would say to them, first I would say hello. I'd introduce myself, say, hi, my name is Hibby. Welcome to the Sky Dome. And if you've never felt love before, that's okay. I would like to tell you that you are loved and that no matter what you have gone through in life, that was all part of a lesson and that you are here today. So close your eyes and listen to my voice. Feel there is someone sitting beside you. You don't need to know who they are, what their story is. They have love inside them, and they probably also have hurt inside them, just like you. And know that each person beside you has just the same equal amount of love and equal amount of life inside them. Nobody has more or less. Love is love, and we are all equal and we're all alive. Not one person in the stadium is more alive than you or less alive. Life is life, and therefore look at love as love. So when you close your eyes, if you desire love, not the love that is a sexual love or romantic love, but just to be accepted and to feel that everything is going to be okay, then look inside yourself and say, if you want this, so does the person to your left and so does the person to your right. And if you are wanting this enough, be okay with giving it. And you could just give it anonymously just by opening your heart. So just close your eyes, listen to my voice, open your heart. And I'm going to say the words, I love you. Hear those words. And if you can receive it in your heart, say it back out just to the empty space in between you and me. And if you could just say those words, I love you, with your heart, not necessarily with your voice, but with your heart, and say the words, I love you, because that's what you want to receive back in your heart. That's all you need to do. And somehow, some way, love will find you. And so then I will just close with the words. And so everybody just take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out. And as I say the words, I love you, I want you to hear my voice, receive the love, and give it back out just for yourself. Here are the words. I love you. And now you can receive it. And I hope you can give it back out. And when you open your eyes again, just remember that the person beside you is equal and has just as much want and need for love as you do.
Wow, that was powerful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I wonder about this, though, because there's always the cynic in the room. There's always the person that wants to flip the side of the coin over and go, well, let's just pump the brakes a second here. I can't love everyone. It's impossible. You don't know blank. You don't know what blank has done for me. This blank person, by the way, is a jerk. Jerk. You don't know how hard it is to love that person. What would you say to that?
Don't take on the responsibility of trying to change anyone. But what I would say to them is, because love is equal, if you are unwilling to take away all those details and think that people all deserve love, you don't have to always sit there and say, but not that person and but not that person. There is a saying, and don't judge others lest you be judged yourself. If you're thinking out there that you can't love this person or that person, you're also denying yourself love. You're also thinking that other people may not want to love you. It's that idea that forgiveness is the key. Forgiveness isn't really for other people. The release of resentment for yourself. You don't necessarily have to love that person in the terms of all those details. You just have to let it go. Let it go. Choose to say, I don't love that person. Then there's another connection to maybe you may not like that person, or maybe you may hate that person. I don't want to go into that H word. Though there's a lot of feelings that are attached to negativity as well. So to not like that person or not to believe they deserve it, there's got to be a little bit of resentment there. And we can't have freedom to love if we have resentment to hate. If we don't let that go, we end up having less love in our own life, or we deny ourselves more love. I would just say, try your best. And if there's a person that you don't like, it's like, you don't have to like that person. Do you need to love that person? No, but let them go. Let them go so that somebody else might love them. And if they've wronged you, you know what? The more you think about it, the more you recreate that image and that memory and that energy. How often do you want to relive those moments of being wronged by that person? Let that person go. And there may be times where that person's part of your family, and that's really unfortunate. But as we grow up, we have to make decisions on choosing to put ourselves in a healthier environment.
I think forgiveness truly is the key. In order for you to really, truly love someone, you have to, one, love yourself first, and also be able to forgive those that have hurt you. Again, I think so many times in life, I struggle with forgiving because it's easy. It's easy to say I love you. It's easy. But do I really mean what I say? And I think that's the beauty of what you're creating. Well, again, I want to give you an opportunity right now. Share with us, how can folks, one, reach out to you if they want to know more about the Love Bank, you, and everything that you're a part of? How can they do that right now?
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Neil. It's amazing. World Love Bank. You can go to the worldlovebank.com. So the website. You can read about me. You can read about the World Love Bank and why we created it. And you can click onto the two options, so a Google Play or the App Store, and you can download the app. The World Love Bank is a free app, so it gives you storage and the ability to record and save audio for those you love the most. That will be sent out to people that you love through your contact list. So whoever's in your contact list, those are the people. You can type it in one by one. You hit the plus button and you create it. It's audio only. However, if the person that is you are sending it to has the app and wants to send back a video, or you want to send a video, all you got to do is upgrade. It's less than a cup of coffee. It's $4.99 a month. Skip a Starbucks coffee and give yourself the opportunity to have audio, video features, additional storage. You get, 25 to 100 gigabytes of storage. And then cool thing about the upgraded version is you also get a legacy. So when we talk about self-love, you can actually send messages to yourself. So you can talk about your best day. You can create a history of your life that you can then send off in the Love Bank for those you love the most. So when that time comes, it'll be there. It'll be your legacy. It's called a legacy account, but you can also use our milestone account. So the milestones with the upgraded version, you can actually port messages into the future. So I won't miss my son's 21st birthday this year, or my son's 30th. I can actually record messages, happy birthdays for every year of their life. Should something happen, they'll always get a happy birthday message from me, and you'll be able to see that it's banked there and it gets released on that specific date that you've chosen. So it's pretty cool. It's the World Love Bank. So you can go there, and if you want to reach out to me personally, just go to the website and hit contact and send me a message. I'm very easy to get a hold of.
That's awesome stuff. I love that a lot. And again, I just value and appreciate this idea, this app, this whole concept of it. I love that you gave us so much moments today. Before we go, though, I feel like we need one thing answered. Well, two things answered for me. One's our game. So we'll play a game together. Before we get to our game, I do want to ask this question. When all is said and done, and Hibby, God forbid, is no longer, what do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for being a loving person, for making people feel loved and accepted. When you say that, obviously for my family and for my children, and when the bank gets familiar and well used and people go, oh, that Hibby Bartlett, I want them to think that they knew me a little bit, but I made them feel loved, because I think that's it. I would want to make sure that the world, whoever remembered me, or if anyone, they like, you know what, she was a really nice person. She was a very loving person. And I would want that to be the memory that they have of me.
Fantastic. What a great legacy to leave.
I think we all have it.
I think so too.
So
no, 100%.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy about that. So we love to play this game at the end of our show. It's called Senseless. And so it's these kind of 5 questions that kind of involve our senses. And then 6th is the wild card. So again, I know you're not a big sports person. We do have this North Carolina Cup. It is pretty sad. It has seen some better days. It has been loved on. It actually broke recently. So it's kind of a broken vessel, much like the rest of us. Just broken vessels trying to have a fun time together.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take it on.
All right. So I'm going to roll on your behalf because you are still in Canada and not in the U.S. And so here we go. Number 6 is this. That's a number 6, believe it or not. Wild card. Here it is. One person. Don't cheat. Don't try to sneak somebody in your luggage. One person. One weekend with this one person. What do you do and where do you go?
Can I ask one question before I answer?
Yes, of course. You seem very puzzled by this question. Yeah, so you're spending a weekend with one person you'd love to spend the weekend with. What do you do and where do you go?
So my question is this person alive now? Like, this is an actual opportunity to do.
Great question. So it can be
hypothetical.
Yeah, they can be dead or alive.
Then it would be my mom.
Maybe it's obvious, but why your mom?
Now you're going to make me cry. Because she was the one woman that I felt 100% safe with, that always loved me. I could do no wrong. I could laugh with. She had so, like, you just couldn't be angry around her. You couldn't have any, like, she just wouldn't accept it. It wasn't that she had to be harsh about it. It was just like, you know what, if you were like, oh, that person bugs me. Like, this is how I grew up. And she'd be like, let it go. It's not worth it. And she just had so much love in her heart. That's why I wish to be like her. But I don't think I just do. Because she never allowed it. And so, excuse me for sniffling. I would want to spend, I think you might have said weekend.
I did. I said the weekend.
Okay. Because I was already adding up, like, no, it's going to be a week. I'm not taking the weekend. I'm taking a week with her.
Not a week. You don't get a week. You get Friday. We'll make it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You got to go home Sunday night.
Okay. It would choose my mom. I would want to go back to Cape Town, South Africa, because if I could choose a weekend, I would want to choose a weekend where she could be in her home, where she grew up, because she chose Canada for us to have a better life. But I would spend that weekend with her, telling me stories about her childhood, just telling me about the different things she went on the trains, Table Mountain, like she came from District 6. Like, I would just want to sit there and appreciate her, eat food with her and listen to her laugh one more time, and get an opportunity to like, as you would say, as we're closing off, to walk in her shoes and what made her her. So thank you for that, because now you've really done something for me today.
It's been about 6 months in counseling. I went through a very traumatic event in my life, and so therefore needed some counseling to kind of walk through that. Mm-hmm. And my counselor told me, because I am not a crier, like, it takes a lot to cry. And he said, Neil, when you cry or someone cries in front of you, you've earned trust with them enough that they will give you their tears. It is a very intimate and very vulnerable thing. So for someone to cry, it always makes me feel like, well, you've trusted me enough with those tears. So thank you for that, truly. So guys and gals, kids and campers alike, listen, I don't know about anybody else. Like, I'm listing in my mind as she's talking, who do I want to hear I love you from? So take a moment right now. Sorry. Who's that person? You know who it is. I don't. You do, though. But right now, stop whatever you're doing. If you're at a red light, be at the red light. If you're at a green light, I'm not going to ask you to pull over. That's crazy. But set down the laundry basket for a sec. Stop the run for a moment. Just give yourself a breather. Stop the watch. Ask yourself this question. Who is that one person I would trade anything to hear I love you from again? You got him? You got him in your mind? Who is it? Okay. So now, my challenge for you. Obviously, you can't go back in time. You can't go forward in time and tell them or say anything to them. You do have the present. You do have the right now. So here's your challenge. Find somebody this week to say I love you to. Grab them by the shoulders if need be. Kiss them on the cheek. Whatever it takes. Grab them, hold on to them, and say, listen, you need to know. I heard this crazy guy and this equally maybe not so crazy lady in Canada tell me that I need to tell you I love you. And see what happens. If you do that, let me know. opspodcast.com is a great place to let me know. You can let me know in the comment section. You can even let us know in the voicemail. And who knows, we may even use your voice on a future show. You can also let us know on social media. That'd be at OPS Podcast Show on our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Follow us, like us. We'd love that. And don't forget this. Do not ever forget. Remember, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned till next week when we walk in other people's shoes.